My name's Michelle Delatorre, and I'm with the Nocturnal, and I am super delighted to talk to you. In full disclosure, I've been listening to your work for a really long time, and so I appreciate everything that you do. And also, this film is kind of I'm the filmmaker too, like the kind of films that I love, and kind of these self-contained, great stories with musical undertones and all this stuff. So I'm super delighted to talk to you.
Thank you. That's lovely to hear.
So how did this project come across your radar? Were you looking for something new to contribute to?
Yeah, I've always been interested in film score. And in 2015, I'd been extremely grateful to be accepted onto the Sundance Film Composers Lab. And I finally took some time out of touring and making records to go and study film composition. And I mean, it's a completely different skill. It's certainly, I really appreciated that just because you can write songs, it doesn't mean that you can sort of sidestep into a world like that. There's so much to learn. And it was an extremely steep learning curve that I'm still on. But it's a great challenge creatively. Partly why I love it is because you just remove all ego. It's not about you at all. It's really your job as a composer for a movie is to work for the director, listen to the director, and try and offer music to either really expand the emotion of what you're watching, or at the other end of the spectrum, suggest something that you can't see at all, but the viewer magically understands is going on because you're listening to the music. I mean, it's such a spectrum of what you can do with it. And with Luke's film, he asked me to write a credit and end credit song for the short film. And it's such a beautiful, powerful, fun short film, this. And I think the great sign, a sign of a great short film, is that you just want to see spin-offs of every character that you've just seen. And that's how I felt about Gutterpunks. But what I really liked about what Luke asked for the film was not to treat it like a kid's film. You know, this is a film about females. And so, you know, there's cursing in the film, even though this is about a somewhat young girl. And so it was just to write something rebellious. And I was kind of in my mind, because of the color grade of the film, which is sort of very 90s candy. It was somewhere between like the Lemonheads and the Ramones, and just kind of wild, which is what the essence of the film is about kind of wildness and the different flavors of that.
I can tell you've done your film homework because you just used the word color grade, which I feel like most songwriters.
Color grading is well, I know about grading because of making videos. So I would make music videos, and it's a bit like when you start making records, you don't really understand mixing. Like, that was never something that I knew anything about until my first record. And then I learned very fast that the mix can entirely change your album overnight. And I think color grade is really interesting with movies because it can really kind of date your movie. You can make it sepia and everybody thinks, ooh, cowboys, you know, or you can, like with this movie, really pop the candy colors. And to me, that was a kind of 90s vibe, a kind of post-punk vibe. And so I think the music tied itself to that a lot. And I have to say as well, because I think the conversation about color with this film is really interesting because there is a lot of pink. And I think it was very deliberate by Luke to kind of basically claim back pink from something, you know, fluffy and unintimidating. And I think it's really, really, you'll see when you watch the film that the troll has pink hair. And at the end of the film, Anna is wearing a pink fluffy coat. And it's a really, really nice reclamation of pink being an easy color.
I feel like this film could have a couple of hashtag moments, right? So reclaiming pink might be one, or be a troll might be the other.
Yeah,
what are
definitely. Hashtag try being one is for sure. So there's a brilliant line, my favorite line in the film, where Anna's dad said, "It's hard raising a little girl, you know," and the troll says, "Try being one." Very, very powerful.
You had a number of roles on this film, producing and contributing music, and a voiceover credit.
Yeah.
Do you have another role in the narrative world you haven't done yet that you'd like to try next?
I mean, my passion as a kid was acting. I started off acting before I was writing songs, and I always expected for years to end up as an actress. And then when I got to about 15, it dawned on me properly that if I was going to be an actress, then I was going to be getting told what to do and given someone else's words to say. And that did not appeal anymore. But having gone through my completely self-involved journey as a solo artist, where you write everything yourself, it now really does appeal. Trying out different characters, and I have done a little bit of acting since, and it's really fun. I've actually written a couple of short film scripts myself as well. So, and after directing a couple of music videos, I definitely got the bug for it. So directing is probably, of all of it, is probably the most enticing, I think.
When people watch this film, what do you hope people take away, or what message, or besides reclaiming pink and trying, those kinds of things?
Yeah. Well, it's a very timely film with the conversations that are going on culturally at the moment. Particularly about women in film. And obviously it's interesting because this film is directed and written by a guy. And I think that that's really important, that Luke has written and directed a film that really is very respectful of the spectrum of what it is to be female, where you have two female characters that are not fitting into your usual tropes of virgin, whore, crazy, sweet. There's always such a lack of colors in between these things when we watch movies and see women portrayed on screen. And I love that there's a really nice emotional complexity to these two characters who are not fitting in to the normal idea of being a girl or being a woman. And there's hardship in that, but ultimately it's really rewarding for them to just stand firm and be themselves, even if they feel like outcasts.
And how did you land your voiceover role in this film?
Oh, they needed someone. They needed someone to play Anna's mum. And because I was doing the song, and because I also was an executive producer, basically giving my support wherever I could on the film, I decided when Luke reached out and said, would I like to do this voiceover? I was, of course, I'd love to. I think it's actually a really important part of the movie is they had shot the movie originally with some scenes of the mother. And Luke in the end and Sophie decided that they didn't really need that her presence was really strong enough just by this voice and this guidance that Anna was getting when she was younger. But she's really she's the safe place, It's interesting when you look at the parallels, because the safe place for the troll is under the bridge, right? That's where she finds and Anna's, the tape that Anna's mum is on is Anna's safe place. And they sort of swap over where the troll's safe place, she ends up putting her voice on the tape for Anna. And I guess kind of metaphorically, Anna crosses the bridge of loneliness into being herself in her surroundings. And I loved that analogy, actually, that we talked a lot about the symbology within the film. I'd been thinking about, crossing the bridge, and Anastasia's mother talks about going to a place with greener grass. But actually the shelter of being underneath it is also quite powerful, of just giving yourself breathing space where you don't know which direction to go in and you don't know where you're going. And actually you just need to take a minute. And I like the admission of that in the film, that you just, sometimes you don't know what you want, and it's going to be hard, but you just need somewhere that you can be to work it out.
Covers a lot of ground in a short amount of time.
It really does. And I think that he did very well too with the casting for the dad. Nigel! Hashtag Nigel!
All them in at the end of this.
Because he really balances being a bit of an asshole, but really also showing with very little dialogue that he's in pain. And I think it's an unfathomable position for a parent to be in, to be going through personal, total crises, and at the same time trying to parent a kid. I mean, it's just, it's a horrible position to be in as a parent, I'm sure. So, and really the medicine for that is Anna's joy, is her sense of fun, and she needs to be herself to save her dad, really.
Can I ask a question about the song that you wrote for this? How did you approach this song? Do you guys have some ideas in mind, and then you headed in to write it, or how did the songwriting process go for this?
So I've noticed such a wonderful thing with kids, that when you write music, not even lyrics or melody, but just the sound of electric guitar going through an amp crunched up, it just makes kids go mental. And they maybe have never heard punk, and maybe they've never heard the Ramones, and they've never heard, I don't know, Radiohead or Rage Against the Machine. But as soon as a kid hears that sound, they just go wild. It's a very innate reaction to a crunched up, overdriven electric guitar. And so I knew that it had to come from that place of wildness and punk spirit. And then I was thinking about all these amazing female bands like Elastica, like the Go-Go's, like Joan Jett, all these artists that really, they're not about precision and perfection and polishedness. It's all about freedom and some rage in there, frustration being vented. And so I knew that that's what I was going for. And so once I had those building blocks in place, it was pretty easy. It's just like, okay, strap the guitar on, turn the amp up, and go and see what comes out. And Gutterpunks is a great strapline. It's a great title for a song. So you just want to shout it. So I did. I played guitar and I shouted Gutterpunks. I was like, yeah, that'll do.
That's everyone's dream, really.
It is, to be able to do exactly. That. Yeah.
Can I ask what guitar you used, out of curiosity?
I was trying to remember. I think it would have been my red Supro that I use on stage, and it's plastic basically, so it's super light guitar, but it's very good for crunching up and getting that kind of punk rock sound. And you have to play it standing up. It doesn't.
Oh, you do.
It basically doesn't work. Like, you have to stand up to play guitar like that.
It's like the flying V or something. Like, if you're sitting, it's just gonna.
You're doing that instrument a dreadful disservice if you play that sitting down.
Have you made what you would call like a punk album or song yet?
In fact, funnily enough, today there's a reissue of my Drastic Fantastic.
I was listening to it today, so I was like, this is a new issue. So, in full disclosure, I listened to Drastic Fantastic a lot. I was abroad when I was in college in England and would listen to it like nonstop. And the video for one of the songs would play on the local station, the TV station. Yeah. It was great. Soft, so place in my heart for that. So I was excited to see that. So it got re-released. Continue.
It got re-released today, and my management had said to me, Is there a song on that record that you feel didn't get as much attention as it should have done, and let's do something with that song? And I said, yes. And it's a song called I Don't Want You Now. And it's a total sugar post-punk pop riot. And it's basically celebrating getting rid of someone in your life. It's like the best breakup song. And that song, I think, is really, it's the same family as my Gutterpunks song for sure. It's a powerful middle finger, but a load of fun at the same time.
Are there other tracks that you're looking to resend into the world?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny because I've just entered into a new deal with a great outfit called Primary Wave, and basically I'm working with them on my back catalogue, and one of the things that they asked me is, can you put together a list of 10 songs that you think didn't get the attention they deserved? And I'm like, yes. And so basically it's an opportunity for me to go back over every single record and just go, that should have been a single and that should have been a single. So I'm really excited about kind of entering a new phase of working with Primary Wave and seeing if we can basically give those songs a bit more platform and a little bit of kind of retrospective spotlight, which is really cool.
Will Gutterpunks be part of your repertoire once we begin, when we're allowed to go and play?
Would I play that live? Yeah, why not? I think I definitely have to. Well, we have to do some work getting the film out there first. So I'll make sure all the fans have seen the film first.
Noted.
I do definitely get quite a lot of requests from people asking me to sing my songs from the Disney Tinkerbell movies. So it happens.
Do you get Pete the Cat?
Yes, definitely get Pete the Cat at New Year, the New Year special. Again, that was a great experience of, again, looking to the Ramones for inspiration of very live, rambunctious band songs. I just think that's so fun for kids to really connect with music that is not uptight and tied up and overproduced. I think the kind of ramshackle live nature of playing in a band is so fun for kids. I don't want them to just be listening to auto-tuned, precise pop fodder, you know.
What is next for this film, or what? I know it played at the kind of virtual version of Holly Shorts.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's been entered into a number of festivals, and we're just excited to see what the outcome of that is, and then we'll have some sort of wider release, I imagine. But I think, short films, it's very difficult to circulate short films. They're not enormously known about in terms of people kind of ingesting them as normal, and in their usual kind of diet of what they listen to and watch. So I would really like to see a company like Netflix or even Apple, like really kind of creating more spotlight for short films and an easier way for everyone to get hold of them, because they're incredible. I love short films. They're so thought-provoking and so inventive, to try and get so much in such a short time. And, with our dreadful attention spans these days, it's kind of perfect. So I'd love to see a bit more circulation and a bit more kind of mainstream attention on short films.
I think you said it perfectly. I think that those platforms have a place for those short films. I think Netflix picked up a few, not very short being like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But so often the short films are seen as a runway to a feature, like you make it to make a feature.
And I've been to Sundance Film Festival many times, but one of my favorite things to do is the short film screenings, where you get to see 4 short films at once, and it's just brilliant.
This collaboration that Gutterpunks has with Pop Beauty.
Yes.
So how did this collaboration come about? It's kind of interesting that the role of makeup, self-expression plays in the film, and then you get to collaborate with it.
Yeah, so I'm not used to really doing brand collaborations, because when I started in 2004, it was just like, no way. Like everybody was so anti-brand and anti-commercials. And I'm glad that that's changed, because as we've seen, it's very, very hard for musicians to make a living just by making music and putting it out. It doesn't, for 99% of musicians, bring in enough money for them to make a living. So I'm really glad that brands and companies are open to supporting musicians and actually giving them an opportunity for an income. And for me personally, I'm just always interested in companies that are really trying to not only make a great product, but actually be responsible. And I think it's called social entrepreneurialism, where it's actually beneficial what they're doing to the planet and to communities. And so Pop are just an awesome company that are vegan, recycled and recyclable, very natural products. I love them. I'm using them. And I like that they are really just asking people to have fun with makeup. It doesn't have to be this, standardized idea of how to look when you put makeup on. It's much more about A, having really healthy skin, B, just totally enjoying yourself, and C, a feeling of expression that I wasn't really interested in makeup and stuff until my late 30s. It was never something I was that into. And now I love it, because I really have come to understand that it's part of expressing yourself. And it's part of the same as I would put on jewelry and a shirt or listen to Led Zeppelin. It's part of my own circle of expression. And I think when you get to the point where you're wearing makeup for yourself rather than wearing makeup for other people is a really, really fun place to get to.
Absolutely. And I think that they get there in Gutterpunks.
Well, yeah, I think that's what's so nice about Pop joining hands with this film, is that makeup and, adorning your face and coloring your hair. These are, it's for yourself. It's for your own enjoyment and for your own empowerment, and to make a statement about who you are, not to please anyone else.
Thank you for the time.
Of course.
Talking about this film. You had said that this film is a gift, and some of the materials that I saw, I just want to add that your music and the songwriting world, it's been a gift to talk to you as well and to listen to your work. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. And it's such a lovely thing to say. And it's really wonderful talking to people about films like this and projects like this, where I really feel like it's giving, especially young women and young girls, an opportunity to feel okay being different, being themselves, and that is actually the most precious thing they've got, is who they are, and being different from everyone else is a gift to ourselves, and we should celebrate it. It doesn't mean that you have to be on your own.